Hi, my name is Akshay Sridhar and this is a demonstration video for challenge assignment 2 in EC561, which is the home monitoring system. Let's jump right into the code. The first thing that happens after the main function starts is we hold the watchdog timer initially so that it doesn't reset the system while we are initializing all the things we need to initialize. Then we call the init clock function. This function basically sets the clock system that we're going to use for this program by setting master clock, system clock, auxiliary clock, etc. So next we call the init GPIO function. This function initializes all the GPIO ports that we need to, which we are going to use for this program. The 2.7, which is the buzzer, is being set as a peripheral output pin, and 4.3, which is the microphone, is set as the peripheral input pin. And these two are the output LEDs we are going to use to indicate if the burglar alarm is on or off. And these two are the buttons. The first button is the burglar alarm activation deactivation status control, and the second button is the doorbell. We initially set the green LED on and the red LED off to indicate that on system start the burglar alarm is off. The status variable is used to see the current status of the burglar alarm. So we initially set it to green to show that it is currently off. Next we initialize the I2C module of the microcontroller. The I2C module is used to communicate between the light sensor in the booster pack and our microcontroller, and we actually initialize the actual light sensor using this init function. Next we initialize our timer. We are going to use the timer A to generate a PWM to send it to the buzzer to generate tunes. Driver library, we use data structures provided by the driver library to configure the timer A to values that suit our needs. So this is a period of our duty cycle, and this is the period of our PWM, and this is a duty cycle. So this is just a placeholder. We're going to change it throughout the program to generate the tunes that we need. And we use those data structures to start the timer in up mode. And we call the init ADC function next. The init ADC function initializes all the registers in the ADC module of our microcontroller. The microphone input, which is present in the booster pack, collects the sound as an analog value. We need to convert it to a digital value to check it against the threshold to see if it is loud or not. So these are all the basic things. We enable the module. We started in single conversion mode. We use channel A10 because that is what it is connected to in the booster pack, and we have to select our sample time accordingly. We have to make it quick enough so that we don't miss any sounds. If we make it slow enough, we may miss any loud sound. And we enable the interrupt because we're going to use the interrupt functionality of the ADC. And after that is done, we enable the interrupt in the NVIC module also. And interrupt disable sleep on ISR exit. We are using this so that once the interrupt of the ADC service, we need to resume the code from where it left off. So we are using this to do that. And after all the initialization is done, we start the watchdog timer with this function. So from here on, we need to be careful and we need to keep resetting the watchdog timer counter so that the system doesn't reset. Okay, so this is the main loop of our our program. So what it basically does is it is like a round robin. So it keeps checking for each event, keeps checking in an infinite loop. So there are 3 events we need to check for, and one event has 2 parts. The burglar alarm, we need to check for both the activation button press and also the actual sound input from the microphone. So this checks for the burglar alarm button. So if that button press is encountered, we toggle our status variable. So from green it becomes red, and from red it becomes green, and we call the toggle LED function. The toggle LED function basically toggles the green and red LEDs. So if the red was on, the green becomes on now, and if the green was on, the red becomes on now. So basically that's what it does. So next, what we check for is the doorbell button press. So if the doorbell button press is encountered, we simply call the doorbell function. We'll come to that later after finishing this loop. And after that, we collect the light intensity value from the sensor using this function. So, and if that value is greater than a threshold, we call our fire alarm function. And after that is done, we start the conversion with this command. And after we start the conversion, we put it in low power mode to wait for the conversion results to arrive. and after it arrives via an interrupt. So in that interrupt, we get the ADC result from mem0 buffer and store it in a variable and check if it is greater than a threshold, and the status is red, meaning the burger alarm is on. If the burger alarm is off, the control won't go into the if condition. So even if we encounter a loud sound and the alarm is off, nothing will happen. So if both these conditions are satisfied, it goes in and the burger alarm function is called. Now let's go on to the individual functions. So basically how this is structured is the fire alarm has the highest priority, the burger alarm has the second, and the doorbell has the third last. The fire alarm function, basically what we do is by changing the value of the duty cycle, we create a tune. So with different values of the duty cycle, we create a tune, and while the control is inside the fire alarm function, then nothing needs to happen. It only needs to play the tune, and only a system reset can take it out of this loop because it has the highest priority. So this is a fairly straightforward function. So this tune will come to that when we do the hardware demonstration. Now next, for the burger alarm function. The burger alarm function, since it is a middle priority, while we are servicing the burger alarm, we also need to check for the fire alarm status so that we don't miss out on any high intensity lights which come when the burger alarm function is being serviced. So what we do here is we start the timer, a PWM, and to mimic a burger alarm, we need to switch on and off the sound periodically. So we switch on the PWM, and instead of just waiting for some time, inside we do a couple things. One, we check if the alarm reset button is pressed via this function. This function checks for the burger alarm control button, and if that is pressed, we switch off the burger alarm via a system reset. And after that, we check for the light value again inside this function. So basically, we switch on the PWM and check for these two things and wait for some time by checking for these two things. Then we switch off the PWM for some time, and instead of simply waiting, we again check for those two things here, alarm reset and the light. So once the control is in the burger alarm, it will keep executing a burger alarm sound while checking for these two things at the same time, so that it can get out of this control. The control can get out of this function. The doorbell, which has the least priority, so once the doorbell button is pressed, we need to play a sound for 2 seconds. So within those 2 seconds, we again have to check for the burger alarm and the fire alarm, because those two inputs can arrive during those 2 seconds. So we switch on the PWM, and while waiting for 2 seconds, we check for the lux value, the light intensity value, and we start the conversion and check for the microphone value too. So this is basically how the code works. Now that we've seen how the code works, let's move on to the debug part of the program. Before we actually start debugging, there are several tools provided by CCS to analyze and optimize certain parts of our code. So let us run the CCS Optimizer Assistant. Here we can run the speed versus size optimization, which runs several levels of speed optimization and gives us the approximate or expected code size in bytes with that optimization included. So this allows us to see if increasing the speed optimization level will exceed our flash memory capacity or not. If not, we can use the maximum speed optimization level, which is 5, provided by the CCS. With optimization level 0, 1 and 2 giving slightly lower. So we can safely go for optimization level 4, because we know that we have enough memory size in our flash. So basically we are sacrificing space for speed here. So select optimization level 5 and build the program. So this is for debugging. Debug. Once we start the program execution, we will notice a small window here, which is the energy trace profile provided by CCS. It provides us with the power, voltage and current consumption of our program in real time, and an approximate battery life estimation if this is run in a real-time environment. So this is a very useful tool which enables us to analyze exactly how much power and electrical voltage and current our program consumes in real time. And one more thing is, in my program I would have used something called an inline keyword before every function. What this does is, it basically inlines every function call with its definition. So what that means is, whenever a function call is encountered, the whole function definition is taken from its definition and pasted into the main code. So this may increase the size of the code, obviously, but it will totally eliminate function call overheads. So this improves speed of the execution, again by sacrificing some space. This is the speed optimization I've done for this program. One major challenge I encountered in this project was adding priority to the events when I have started to do it as a round robin based system. So basically what I had to do was, I had to check for each high priority event within any low priority event. For example, inside the doorbell I had to check for both the lux and the microphone input, and inside the burglar alarm I had to check for the lux value each and every time. So this is how I circumvented not using interrupts, basically, which I should have from the beginning. And also one more thing which added to the complexity was the ADC interrupt. This was the only thing which had to be an interrupt, because it made no sense for the ADC to not be an interrupt. So that alone had to be an interrupt, and I had to incorporate it to the rest of my code, which is not at all interrupt based. Once I start running my code, the debugger provides us very useful tools to analyze if the code is working properly without even looking at the hardware. For example, I've kept a breakpoint at the start of the doorbell function. So when I press the doorbell function, if the control goes to that breakpoint, I'll know that my code is working properly. So as soon as I press the button, the control went there. So now I know that part of the code is working properly. So these kinds of tools help me immensely in debugging and analyzing the program. So these kind of tools these kind of tools of the debugger help me analyze and rectify my program very easily, without resorting to hardware each and every time I had to verify and check something.